Joe Fish, what's up? Mr. Berry,
What's up, man?
how are you?
Can you hear me good enough?
I can hear you great, man.
Cool, cool, man. I'm gonna set this phone down. I'm not used to being on my little phone for a live, you know.
I know, yeah, you got to get the right position. I got a little,
You know, man, right lighting and everything, you know.
yeah, get you one of those selfie rings.
I'm gonna give you some little halos. I don't want to do all that.
How's life treating you?
Hey, man, we can't complain, being all things considered, you know. We're hanging in there, and you know, thanks for asking. How about yourself?
Good, good. We've been real lucky. We've been able to stay busy during all the, the shutdowns and quarantine and all that stuff. Our customer base has really pulled through and kept us going, so we didn't have to take out a bunch of loans or any of that stuff like a lot of other businesses. So we've been really lucky and blessed in that respect. But yeah, and family's healthy. Everybody's good. All our employees and stuff are all healthy and doing good. So we're in a good spot. So
True testament to your brand there, man, for sure.
Well, you know what? It's a testament to our customer base, to the people that attach to the brand, because I'm not going to shy away from it, man. We stepped up and said, this is going to be a tough couple months, and if you guys can help get us through, we'll help you back. And we did what we could, gave away some rods, gave away some reels.
Yep.
Last week we gave away 31 lemon glass rods, a rod a day.
I see.
Yeah. And to say thanks for keeping us going, and I mean, it's not like we put a bunch of money in the bank, but we didn't have to shut down. And that's what it was all about, is just getting through it. And now we're on the other side of it. So before we get into anything else, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the folks and let them know kind of who you are and what your organization's all about, what you represent.
Definitely, thanks. My name's Dishaun Berry. I'm the founder and president of Get Hooked Foundation. We work with youth, at-risk youth, and particularly getting them outdoors, introducing them to fishing, whatever mechanism that may be, whether it be, getting new rods for them or gear or whatever they need be to get on the water. My mission is just working with people who look like me, introducing them to the sport and showing them a different, route of happiness that they can, have in their life. And so, that's primarily my focus, is just introducing children. I love working with children. I think they're more moldable than adults, of course. And so, getting to them at an early age and changing their mindset so they have a buy-in on our sport also.
Yeah. Awesome. And how long have you been doing Get Hooked?
We're on our fourth year now.
Yeah.
And, it's just grown year by year by year. We usually are in our midst of our summer camps right now, and we're on pause right now just because we don't know what that's going to look like or whatever. So we would usually fully, be running full summer camps right now. Last year I think we had over 600 kids out to our summer camps, and it's free to the public. It's free to the people who are join us there, and we have a lot of volunteers to help us get those things, going and or whatever. But this year it's just been a little bit different. Everything's on hold, and hopefully, we could have some programming for some kids here, hopefully by August is when, not August, but probably September,
Yeah.
is when we're going to have some programming available, depending on how, the environment goes or whatever.
Yeah. It's so weird. One day you're in phase one, and then the next day there's 10 more cases, and then it just depends on where you're at and what you're doing. But my hope is that for not only your organization, but a lot of other organizations that cater to or attend to people who really need a different outlet or some type of mentorship. It's so important that they're not getting that right now, and especially kids. I remember when I was a kid, the people that mentored me and the impact that they had on my life. I was just talking yesterday to Adam here at work about older fella that helped me out when I was younger and taught me how to not be a jackass and how to be a man, right? And and that those things are so important. And what you're doing, I think, is really, really cool, especially since you're in Northeast Portland, right?
I actually, I live in Washougal, and all my programming is in Northeast Portland. I try to gravitate to the communities that need us the most,
Yeah.
But I live out in Washougal.
Didn't I read that you moved from California to Northeast
Yep.
Portland? That maybe that's
Yep. I lived in Northeast on 26 and going. You know, when I moved up here from Santa Monica, California in '92.
yeah.
You know, I remember fishing in the golf courses on 33rd. You know, we would ride our bikes everywhere to go fishing. You know, but mentorship is something, like you said, that's very important because, you know, especially in the Black community, we don't see enough fishermen that look like us to want to make that cool amongst other kids that look like me. You know, everything that drives kids these days is what's cool. You know, what's the next big trend or whatever. But to see someone who looks like them and can listen to the same music and being outdoors and fishing, they really gravitate to that. And, you know, I've used that as a catalyst to get kids, you know, to come to camps and to introduce fishing into their lifestyles, just because, you know, I always tell people this story. You know, you never see a little Black kid who wanted to play golf until Tiger Woods made it cool, you know, and it takes that sometimes. And in this climate, in this day and age, you know, that's better for everybody if we see more people fishing, you know. That's better, you know, that's better healthiness for our communities and better outlets for, you know, people who don't typically, you know, who don't know how to express themselves.
Yeah, you know, when we first started this business, the reason why we did what we did in the beginning was because I had inherited a bunch of fly stuff from my grandfather, and I wanted to get into fly fishing. I didn't know anything about the culture of the sport or anything like that when I first started, but I had all the stuff. And so I wanted to do it, and I went to these local shops, and I just kept getting, you know, basically pushed right back out. The attitude was terrible. You're not one of us. You don't have you're not wearing the wardrobe. You don't have the uniform on, right? You've got, at that time, I had earrings and tattoos and stuff, and it was just like, you're not welcome here, right? And so we decided to just create our own kind of, in true like punk rock mentality, let's just make our own thing for people, the outsiders we call them, right? And it has grown into it was something really cool that encompasses people from all walks of life, which I really, really, truly enjoy. Is one of the best things about what we do. But it's been difficult for us, and I'll be 100% transparent. We have tried on multiple occasions to find people of color that we could get into our advertising or some of our videos and stuff, and it's really hard to find. At least in this area, because it's hard for us to travel to different places all over when we do like photo shoots and videos and stuff. And so it's been difficult, or it's been difficult to find folks who would even want to participate. You know, they might feel like, oh, am I just token? You know, like you're just using me for that fact, you know? And it's like, I think I do, and maybe in a way that's kind of somewhat true, I guess, but I think it's important to represent people, you know, like we represent in our brand a lot of women, and where a lot of brands in our space don't, and we put them forward, and I think that that's important to do, especially as a father of two young girls. So I think, once again, I think what you're doing is so important that you're absolutely right, that little kid didn't want to golf until he saw Tiger Woods, you know?
But then also that, you know, that little punk kid, I applaud you, you know, right back, because, you know, that little punk kid, or that, you know, that little punk rock kid wouldn't think fishing is cool also, unless he's seen a guy with tattoos and listens to Rage Against the Machine also, who thinks it's cool also. And so it's those connections that we build within our communities. And I would just encourage you, don't give up. It is hard. I mean, I was trying to reach out to a Black community that, you know, didn't give a shit about fishing, you know, or thought it was funny, or, you know, I was ridiculed by my own community. Like, what are you doing a white people's sport? I'm not getting on a boat, you know. It was now, you know, once you experience it and you see the peace that it brings, how could you not like it, you know? And so, and that becomes your motivation. I'm sure you understand what that is, you know. It's just like, you know, becomes your motivation, and anything that you do is just like, all right, well, I'm going to show them, you know, why this is different and why it is so awesome. And like I said, you know, women play a huge part in the sport, because for so long, all you heard was fisherman, or, you know, you never heard the term fisherwoman. We still call women fishermen, you know, and I have a little 7-year-old girl. I have Caleb who's sitting right here next to me.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good.
But I have a little girl also, and so even as men, we've had to think about how we dominate our sport and how we're inclusive to women and the things that we say around around women and things like that also. And so, but interactions like this is what change things and bring people into to a room to where we can have these discussions and show where where we can have some progress.
Yeah. I think on so many levels, there's so many different. You hate to put people into. I always use the record store mentality, right? You go into a record store and you've got the rock section, and then you've got like the classic rock and the punk rock, and then right? You go through the whole thing, right? Well, people tend to do that with people as well, and then you have those people who, like myself, I'll go into the record store and I'll come out with 10 albums from 10 different genres, right? And there's probably more people like that than we actually think, right? Because the closed-minded people are typically the loudest.
Exactly.
Still there? I had a little hiccup there.
I'm good.
Okay, yeah. So I don't typically like to do that, but there are those times where you think about like the inner city youth kid of any color, right? Of a low income, because it's really it's income inequality that separates the majority. I've been to West Virginia, man. I've worked in the hills of West Virginia, and I've seen people living in places that you would not believe. South Chicago, you would not believe that these people live this way in America. And it's absolutely heart-wrenching. And they're people of all faiths, colors, fat, skinny, tall, doesn't matter. And they'll never have an opportunity to experience the outdoors in a way that you might be able to present it to them, because stealing dad's rod and reel and going down to the irrigation ditch and catching a couple little crappie, while it's fun, it's a big difference between doing that and going to some of the places that I've seen where you guys do your camps, and catching big stock trout, or even just going salmon steelhead fishing, in a beautiful Northwest rainforest. These things are inaccessible to so many kids. Chad at Soul River does a lot of work too, in that space. But it's definitely something that needs a bigger spotlight shined on it. And that's kind of what I wanted to do today, was to use our platform to show people what you guys are doing and shine some more light on top of it, but also kind of maybe motivate some other folks to just do it on their own, go out and take a kid fishing. We say that all the time, take a kid fishing, doesn't matter, just do it.
Yeah, we're the old guard now. When you said record store, I was like thinking to my son, he's probably never even been into a record store, like he can't remember a record store.
So Apple Music, they used to be physical locations that you would go to.
Exactly.
You would walk
to buy the music. Because you couldn't download it, LimeWire was the first thing of, but like I said, we're the old guard now. So it's important, and especially with the assault on our fisheries also from people who don't fish, the Patagonians, I call them. I'm sorry, I'm just going to throw that out there. You got so many other people who don't fish who are making regulations about our fishing also. But that's a resource that we should be entitled to and that we should fight for also, and that we should make sure that people have access to. Access is one of the biggest things that I push for in my work that I do. I want to make sure we have access to water, access. And so you're right. Take a kid fishing, because he's going to be the next one making decisions about your fishery. If you're going to get more fish into the river, if they're going to produce more steelhead, those things are vital to it's an industry that's been created around that. And we need more children who are going to take up the guard and protect that.
Yeah, and you make, and I know what you're saying is in jest, and you make a joke about the Patagonians, but, that brings up a good point though, because, specifically kind of in what you're doing, is we have always been, we had a commercial that we ran on Facebook years ago, and it was a gear fisherman and a fly fisherman. And that was a battle in the Pacific Northwest. It's gotten a little better, honestly. And I'd like to think that maybe we had a little part in breaking that barrier down. But we were the only company who was like, look at these gear and fly fishermen. They're going to meet up because they're both wearing steelhead, and they're going to bond over something and talk about stuff that, even though they might not agree on every single issue, they're going to sit down and have a normal conversation. And I think when it comes to our fisheries, which obviously that's a volatile subject, no matter where you land, the important thing to do is to be able to sit down and have conversations, even if you fervently disagree with whoever you're speaking with. So many times we go to these meetings and things, and it's just this, everybody screaming at each other, and nobody, you're not on my team, so I hate you, right?
Yep.
And that's bullshit. It is. I'm sorry, man. It's just absolutely, even though there are times where I'm like, you're not on my team and I hate you, you know what I mean? But you can't. You have to have those good conversations. You have to be able to sit down and have those true, honest conversations with people, and that's what's gonna maintain the access. That's and I think
some of the best ideas that came up are not because everyone agreed with the person bringing up the idea. It was because we had some disagreement, and then we met in the middle and came up with the best cause for everybody to benefit from it. And so you're absolutely right, man. I mean, even though I say it as a joke, we all do need to work together, and that divisiveness, and it's just the culture of the whole entire world right now. Unfortunately, it's just, it's what we're missing. As a human race, as my stepfather would say, is we're missing as a human race is that we're not working together, and if we were, we'd be better. But like you said, the voices that try to separate us are louder than the voices that try to bring us together, unfortunately.
That you said it better than I could. The voices that are trying to separate us are louder than the voices trying to bring us together, and that is that's so true. I've always said to my friends who are hardcore hatchery supporters and that on that side of the fence, and they'll just dog on the fly community, and I'm like, listen, man, there's an element of truth in anything that anybody's passionate about, because it's their truth, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't sit down and talk to them, if you just dismiss them, you will do nothing but battle with them. Or you can sit down and come to an agreement and try to figure it out in that way, through discussion, through honest, open discussion. You're always going to get farther, and you might have to bend. I mean, dude, I run a business. I have business partners. I honestly believe that I'm right 90% of the time, and I have to sit down and say, you know what? I thought I was right. I was actually wrong. You were right, or you are right. And you just have to be able to do that. And I think that, unfortunately, and this is not, I try not to get too involved in, policy and politics and all that stuff on this live stream / podcast, but that is what we're missing. We're missing the ability to sit down and say, I'm going to listen to you. I hear you. I disagree with you, but I'm going to listen to you. And, we would be disingenuous to not discuss some of what's going on today, in this. But that's definitely part of it. Hold on.
You're good.
Just had to shut off the ringer there. But yeah, so in that space, do you find, as you're running Get Hooked and you're trying to get these kids out there, do you find that it's difficult to get kids that want to be involved because they feel like my friends are going to make fun of me, or this isn't this isn't what my particular culture does? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, man. Fishing, if you heard about it, everyone, their first assumption is it's boring. I don't want to sit out there all day. They have all the assumptions that any other fisherman would be, coming into a new fishing situation would think. Where it differs is that in the Black community culturally, we are really, you know, weird about things that are culturally accepted, right? Like we would say that, you know, that's not for us, or you know, and I would press those issues like, well, where did you hear that's not for you? Or because, you know, the way I was raised, my grandparents went fishing, you know, their grandparents, they went fishing, they grew their food, and I'm just like, where did this, you know, where did it fall off to where, you know, you didn't like fishing or where it wasn't culturally acceptable? But then I think even having that conversation as a black man with black children, they're just kind of like, you know, what the hell? You know, what is he talking about? You know, golfing wasn't cool, bro, until Tiger made it cool. Like it was not, it was boring. You couldn't, there was nothing about it that was even acceptable. You know, to me, I tell people I do the other boring sport, fishing. But, you know, it's accepted now amongst our culture because we have someone that looks like us who represents us also. So I try to be, you know, a representation of, you know, what I want for those kids to have in their life. I fish with my son all the time. I know how close it's made us. I know when he has kids, he'll fish with his kids in spots that me and him fished in. It's a lifelong memory and process and happiness that we've shared together. And it's like, you know, that's for everybody. It doesn't matter what you look like. That is for you also. And, you know, I just think being that person who looks like them, telling them about it, they're more susceptible to even try it. And, you know, but it has been a challenge to, you know, break through those barriers of what's culturally accepted. Yeah.
Do you find do you get any pushback from the parents?
Not too much from the parents. I think, you know, a lot of parents that we encounter are encouraging to their kids. They want them to try new things. A lot of the parents that we interact with just don't know where to go or have the resources to even start, or, you know, and this may be intimidating. You know, single mother, for example, well, where do I take my kid fishing at, or how do I tie a knot, or you know, can I get life jackets, or, you know, we can't afford that. Those are, you know, all conversations that we try to tackle within our community to try to provide that. My son wanted to add something also. What were you saying?
Oh, no, I just wanted to add, too, about you know, getting kids and keeping the retention for them is a big thing, because we do the camps and whatnot, is when the kids show up, it's kind of like they're almost like, I don't know if this is something for me, but we add activities and add different types of things into the mix. So by the end of the camp, you're like, I want to go fishing, you know, like I've never, you know, so it's like, I think a lot of it has to do with is just getting them there and getting them involved. And I feel like as the retention will come as time goes on when they get more involved outdoors, you know? So I think time on the water, and every fisherman knows that, you know, as even for me, for steelhead, it's like, it took me a lot of time to get to where I am, to where I can go and I feel successful now. But it's the same thing. If we can get kids just to the water and getting them in a start, our retention is immaculate, especially at our camps, because we have such good activities and we have such good, you know, volunteer work and people that are involved with the kids. So
like broccoli, you got to be like, this is good for you. You have to eat this. And then they like, then they're like, oh, that's not so bad. I'm going to do that a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
We've seen some of the most happiest faces from a bluegill this big.
Literally.
Dude, you know what? So many kids get absolutely hooked by a piece of cheese on a stick and catch a little bluegill in some dirty ass pond somewhere, and they just and they put it in a bucket and watch it swim around. And you know, that's how I got my kids to get into. Now my daughter, my oldest, she's 5, she'll sit in the boat for 2 hours and go kokanee fishing and actually hold her rod and pay attention, and you know, but you gotta take the time to do it. And you're right, it's got to be tough for, you know, especially a community that has statistically higher rates of single parents, but let alone single mothers who probably don't have the resources or the time, working multiple jobs, whatever it is, to take to take their children fishing, you know, or any outdoor activity for that matter. So who got you into fishing, Dishaun?
You know, my grandfather and my godmother got me into fishing. My grandfather, you know, I remember him taking me fishing up to Lost Lake every summer.
Nice.
My godmother, she was an Italian lady. She'd take me down to the pier. She bought me my first fishing pole. She just let me be a kid and fish all the time. But those two people have really molded my love of fishing. And when you grow up in a bad place and you can find something that's peaceful, or that's not so chaotic around you,
Yeah.
it'll stick on you, and it stuck on me.
Yeah, Santa Monica in 1992 was not exactly the coolest place to be.
No, it wasn't. I was born and raised in Santa Monica, and we moved up here, and like I said, 92. I'm 40 years old now, so I've been up here for about 28 years.
Yeah.
And this is home now. I love it, because there's just so much water.
Oh yeah.
In California, you just have to drive to places to go get water, but there's just so much opportunity up here. Like me and Caleb one day we were driving down the coast. We hit a steelhead, got a steelhead in the morning, got a lingcod and sea bass in the afternoon. It was just like, where can you do that at,
Yeah, we live in a very special place, man. I mean, I grew up just north of Sacramento and moved in 94 to Brookings, Oregon. And
yeah,
there's a lot of outdoor activity, outdoor sports where I grew up, and we hunted and fished and all that stuff in Northern California. But moving to Brookings, that was a whole other ball game, man. I mean, it's just a playground, especially in 94. Things were a little different back then. Yeah. So what's next for Get Hooked? I know your camps are on pause. Is that what you're working on right now? Is just trying to figure out ways to engage with people?
Yeah, so we do a lot of work with Metro and ODFW. So Metro's kind of there. We're actually moving forward with one of our summer camps. We don't have dates, but we will have dates here soon. We are just kind of finalizing the details of how we're going to social distance, if that's still applicable, and just how we can create a healthy atmosphere for the people that are coming out there. So we are going to be having some summer camps in August, so that I'll definitely have those dates out there. What else we got coming up?
And then, everything else pretty much back to me.
Yeah, everything pretty much. We are working with Metro right now on a life jacket campaign.
Nice.
To kind of stem the drownings that are going on. Just getting, I think we're going to be distributing about 500 life jackets to low-income housing. Because the statistics around drownings and low-income housing are pretty high. So we got about 500 life jackets we'll be distributing through Get Hooked and Metro.
Yeah.
That'll be happening all summer. So I'll be at Oxbow Park. We'll be all the popular swimming areas, Barton, all the popular swimming areas, just distributing free life jackets to people in need and encouraging them to wear them. Because again, we already know in our sport how valuable a tool of life jacket is. We don't talk about them enough, but it's something that we're really pushing. Our campaign this next year is going to be really heavy into saving lives because it's preventable.
Yeah.
Other than that, a lot of stuff is just on hold right now. We would typically have 3 to 4 events going on during the summer, or big festivals, and everything is kind of put on hold. But kids even need us more right now that we're seeing, because they're out of school and there's nothing for them to really do. There's no camps that they can even go to. So a lot of the city governments are really actively trying to work on trying to get some of this stuff open back up so we can have our camps. And like I said, Metro's one of our biggest supporters. So I keep on saying them because all of our stuff runs through them. They usually, give us the fees to the park. We have access to the park. There's no fees that are associated with it or anything like that. So
yeah. I don't let me forget, shoot me a message after this. I know someone who has a 7-acre private stocked massive trout lake in
wow,
the Newburgh area. And
okay.
And it's private. It's completely private. Nobody knows where it's at. But he does sometimes. People can pay to go there. But he may be sympathetic. He may say he can donate a certain amount of days to you guys or something. I don't know. It just dawned on me that I know this fella, and I'll see if I can hook him up with you, and if he's interested in helping out. It's like small groups of kids, it'd be perfect for that.
Absolutely, because the nearest place that does that is up in Sandy. I think that's the nearest place, and we work a lot over with like the kids over in the Gresham area. But Sandy is the only one that does that. It'd be cool to have another place. And costs associated. If there is, it'd be worth it. Those type of costs are worth it business wise.
Well, it's beautiful and clean. I know firsthand. When I was a kid, Marysville, California, fishing at Ellis Lake and dodging the needles and the duck poop. And
Right.
That's not something that's going to motivate a kid to get fishing. You know what I mean? Take them to some place that's beautiful and clean. And, I think that's important, especially for a first experience,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Is there anything else you want to talk about while I got you here? Usually we keep these things about 30 minutes and it's your platform, man.
I think you covered everything. We really appreciate you having us on. We'll definitely tag you in anything that we got going on. Keep doing what you're doing. You got a black guy wearing your hats, man. That says something. You're putting out some good stuff, man.
You're not the only one.
I'm going to be ordering here soon, so we appreciate you and all that you're doing. And again, thank you for giving us this platform to discuss what Get Hook's going to be doing. And yeah, man, let's work together.
Awesome. I'm down. Anything you guys got going on that we can help out with, I'm 100% in for helping out in any way we can. We're a little short-staffed right now, but as things start to change and get opened up, and I got free time, I got a drift boat. Adam's got a jet boat. Adam, who's part owner here, he and works here. Was a guide for almost 20 years. So I'm sure he'd be happy to get somewhat involved with you guys and try to help out in any way we can. I think what you're doing is super important. That's why I wanted to have you on. It's great to finally talk with you guys, both of you. And I wish you nothing but the best and health and safety to your families. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bro.
Hey, take it easy.
Take care, man.
Take it easy, guys.
Thanks a lot, man.